She lay still on the cold asphalt, rain mixing with blood, while sirens screamed closer, and that's when the most powerful woman in the city heard the one sentence she was never meant to hear. If you love shocking twists, emotional betrayals, and stories that flip power upside down, hit subscribe right now, because this story doesn't just change lives, it exposes them. The accident wasn't supposed to happen, not like this, not on a night when Victoria Hale, iron-willed CEO of Hale Dynamics, the woman financial magazines called untouchable, had everything under control. Rain slicked the downtown streets, the city glowing gold and gray under street lamps, as her black sedan spun sideways after another car ran a red light. Metal screamed, glass exploded, and the world folded inward. When the car finally stopped, smoke curling from the hood, Victoria felt pain bloom across her ribs and forehead, but she was conscious, sharply, painfully aware. Outside, chaos erupted, doors slammed, someone shouted, and then she heard his voice. Daniel Reed, her assistant, the quiet single father who never complained, never arrived late, never asked for more than he was given. "Ma'am, Victoria, can you hear me?" he said, panic cracking through his usual calm. She could answer. She should. But instinct, honed by years of corporate warfare, told her not to. So she stayed still, pretended unconscious. Because power had taught her one brutal truth, people revealed themselves when they thought you couldn't hear. Daniel knelt beside the wreck, shielding her from the rain with his own jacket, his hands shaking as he checked her pulse. "Please," he whispered, voice breaking, "not like this." Sirens wailed closer, but Daniel leaned down, his face inches from hers, and that's when he spoke words that pierced deeper than the crash itself. "I promised Lily I'd come home tonight, but if losing everything again is the price to keep you alive, I'll pay it." Victoria's breath caught. Losing everything. Again. She had never seen this side of him. As paramedics rushed in, Daniel stepped back, wiping his eyes, and muttered something he thought only the rain would hear. "I should have told you the truth years ago." Those words echoed louder than the sirens as Victoria was lifted onto a stretcher, her world quietly splitting open. In the hospital room, machines beeped steadily while Victoria lay still, eyes closed, mind racing. Doctors said she had a concussion and broken ribs, they also said she'd wake soon. She chose not to. Not yet. Daniel sat nearby, head in his hands, exhaustion etched deep into his face. And then the truth began to spill, unfiltered, raw, devastating. He spoke softly, thinking she was lost in darkness. He talked about Lily, his daughter, about bedtime stories and scraped knees and promises he struggled to keep. He talked about his late wife, the illness that drained their savings and his soul. And then, his voice dropped lower. "You don't know this, Victoria, but Hale Dynamics saved us once. Before you were CEO." Victoria's heart pounded. Daniel revealed he'd been a senior engineer years ago, before her rise, before the boardroom betrayal that ousted his entire division. He'd taken the fall for a safety flaw he'd warned executives about, men who later died in a tragic accident that quietly boosted company stock. Daniel had been silenced with an NDA and blacklisted. Single, broke, grieving, he'd rebuilt his life from nothing, re-entering the company years later as an assistant just to afford Lily's medicine. "I stayed quiet," he said, voice shaking, "because power doesn't listen to people like me." Victoria felt something unfamiliar twist inside her, shame. She'd climbed to the top by being ruthless, by never looking back. And here was the cost. Then Daniel said, the sentence that shattered her. "I still love you, not as a CEO. Not as a boss. As the woman who once believed him. The woman who unknowingly benefited from his ruin." When a nurse entered, Daniel wiped his face and stood, mask back in place. Victoria opened her eyes moments later, gasping as if waking for the first time. "Daniel," she whispered. He rushed to her side, relief flooding his features. "You're awake." She nodded, locking eyes with him, knowing everything had changed, and deciding, in that instant, that the truth would no longer stay buried. Recovery was slow, but revelation was swift. Victoria ordered internal audits, reopened sealed files, and followed trails that led straight to the skeletons beneath Hale Dynamics' empire. Board members panicked. Stock trembled. Daniel tried to resign, afraid he'd said too much, afraid of losing the fragile stability he'd built for Lily. Victoria stopped him. "You saved my life," she said quietly. "Now let me fix what I broke." The truth exploded publicly. Falsified reports, buried warnings, sacrificed employees. Daniel was cleared, his name restored. Lawsuits followed, executives fell, and Victoria did something no one expected. She stepped down temporarily, appointing an independent board and transferring majority shares into a trust for victims' families. The media called it madness. The public called it justice. Daniel called it redemption. Months later, on a quiet playground where Lily laughed under autumn trees, Victoria watched Daniel push his daughter on a swing. She wasn't the untouchable CEO anymore. She was a woman who had learned that silence could be louder than power, and that love sometimes waited in the wreckage. "I heard you," she said softly when Daniel joined her. He froze. "The night of the accident," she continued. "I heard everything." Fear flashed across his face, then relief, then something warmer. She smiled. "And it stunned me, because it saved me." The future wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And for the first time, that was enough. Fire. If this story hooked you, shocked you, and moved you, don't stop here. Subscribe now for more powerful, twist-filled stories that expose secrets, flip destinies, and stay with you long after the last word.